Welcome to Tying Michigan's Best Trout Flies. Today we're going to be tying a very simple Hendrickson parachute spinner. So let's get started. So to tie our Hendrickson parachute spinner, we're just going to use a standard size 14 dry fly hook, some brown thread, and first we're going to take our thread about halfway down the shank and then come back to the parachute position. That's where we're going to attach our parachute. And I like to make that that wing, that post, out of deer hair. So I'm using a little bit of white deer hair, and we'll trim some of that off. Sometimes when you do that, you'll find that you have a fiber or two that's a little bit long. So you can just pull those out, and that makes the rest of it even, so that we can attach that post. And we'll put the post on there with just a few wraps, maybe 3 or 4 wraps, nice and snug. Slide your scissors in on an angle, trim that on an angle. You'll see that when we bind that down, that's going to give us less to cover with our thread when it's cut on an angle. We'll come up in front now and stand the post up with a few wraps, and now we're going to post it using the method that I've developed over the years, where I just catch the thread with my right finger as I turn it around with my left hand, catching the thread with my right middle finger around several times, making a nice firm post. Once you get used to that, it goes really quickly. So now we have a good firm post on there. We can bind those down and put the tail on. Now I'm going to make the tail out of 3 fibers of a section of moose. I've already taken those off, so let me grab 3 of those. And we're going to put our tail on about 1.5 to 2 times the length of the shank, about like that. So if you hold it there, measure it there, you can trim that so it comes right behind the post. I'll wrap that down firmly there. Take it toward the back. And when you get near the bend, just a little bit of pressure makes those tails pop out like that. And we'll bring our thread back up behind the post, ready to dub the body. Now I'm just using some rust-colored rabbit fur for the dubbing. And we'll take a little bit of that off, just enough to do the body. And we're going to put that dubbing on and dub the body just in regular overhand wraps. Butt it up to each other so we cover the shank nicely. And we're going to go all the way up in front of our post there. Now this part's what makes this fly really nice and simple. And we're going to take an oversized hackle. I selected a nice, a very pale dun hackle. That's something that you would probably use normally on a size 12 fly. You'll see why here in just a moment. And we'll get that ready and strip some of that off and just tie it in behind the post with a few wraps so it's nice and snug there. And then we're going to wrap the hackle starting at the top of this pathway we made here and put each successive wrap beneath the previous one until we've made maybe a half a dozen or so wraps of hackle. And when we get down to the bottom, we'll tie that off, lifting that out of the way, a few wraps there so we can get rid of the excess. And then the same with the whip finish, just hold that out of the way and whip it off. Now that can complete our fly if you want. And let me just show you this. You see the size of that hackle, that'll rest on the water and it'll give it an appearance of wings. If you want it a little more realistic, we're going to take it out of the vise and just trim this a little bit. We trim the front and we trim the back, and I'll show you what this looks like when we're done with the trimming. And just a little bit more. So if you trim some of the hackle out of the front and some out of the back, then it looks like this. A nice imitation of a full spent Hendrickson spinner. So that concludes the Hendrickson Para Spinner, and we hope to see you the next time.